Welcome back. I'm still with the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan. We're discussing the state of the state-owned enterprises as well as the politics around Eskom and other state-owned entities. It's been a very tough ride, I suppose, running public enterprises. How does it compare to the Department of Finance, for instance?
Well, there's two very different propositions. In this particular case, we are in the post-state capture period, where lots of people have made lots of money, lots of corruption has actually occurred, and the very people who've engaged in corruption are now busy defending themselves. And we are in this post-truth world where you can design all sorts of narratives and attacks on people and institutions in order to cover up your own malfeasance. So it's a period in which some of the so-called critics are using the philosophy attack is the best form of defense. And attack is the best form of destruction from what oneself is actually guilty of at the end of the day. So reconstructing these state-owned entities is a tough job. We also thought if you get a new board, get a new management, and you have suddenly a new entity.
From where you're sitting, what do you think the government got wrong with the state-owned entities? Because it's the same government, after all, that's trying to clean up the state-owned entities. So, in other words, the decisions to appoint certain people to those boards, as well as the management of the state, is the same government that made those appointments.
It's the same government, different leadership. So I think we went through a period, as I explained before the Zondo Commission, that in which period you couldn't quite connect the dots. There were individual appointments taking place on one or other kind of basis, and one couldn't understand what the picture was until, firstly, the academics emerged with their report, which gave us some idea of what state capture is, and secondly, when the extraordinary efforts were made to capture Treasury, to change ministers of finance, to enter into the nuclear deal, and later, as we discover, the kind of malfeasance that took place in Transnet with locomotives and coal contracts in Eskom. When you bring all of that together, then you get the kind of picture that we currently have. So that's the first point. The second is that it might be the same government in the sense that the governing party is the same, but the intent is completely different. The intent now is to restore democracy, to get our economy on a good footing, make sure that these institutions are well run and that their cost structures are not higher than their revenue, but have people of integrity in these institutions as well. So the project is a completely different project. It's a project of reconstruction, rebuilding, remodeling, and creating a sustainable future for these enterprises.
But here's the point, Minister. People say, you can make all the claims you make about corruption and incompetence, but corruption specifically about individuals who used to run some of these entities. But the question that South Africans are asking is they have not seen a single prosecution. That actually what is going on here is making allegations against people that may not be strong enough for those individuals to be prosecuted, thus in the process damaging the reputations of the individuals concerned on one hand, and on the other hand making claims that cannot be substantiated because no one is prosecuting anybody, but the talk continues.
Well, a couple of points. Firstly, the assertions about individuals is not fake news. They're based on forensic reports, the work of the SIU, investigative journalism that is uncontested. So if something is written about person X and you believe it's wrong, go and contest it, either through the press ombud or go to a court and start a defamation action. Nothing of the sort has happened. In the second instance, remember that the design of state capture was targeted at capturing a whole value chain. So it's capturing management and control over institutions, but also capturing those institutions that were supposed to be investigating and prosecuting. Now, the President has led the process of getting the Zondo Commission going, of getting a new head of the prosecuting authority. There are changes taking place in the Hawks. And once those processes begin to click, we will see prosecutions. In fact, the President has said very clearly that we're not waiting, or the prosecuting authority shouldn't wait until the end of the Zondo Commission's findings. As a case develops and there's sufficient evidence, the prosecutions must actually follow. In respect of all of these counter-allegations, you know, a long time ago there was a book that we used to read called Time Longer Than Rope, and it was about the struggle, published probably in the 1950s by a Congress and Communist Party activist. And I think those who are trying to duck their responsibilities at the moment should take, remember a modification of that title. Time is longer than the lies. So sooner or later the lies will be discovered. This mechanism of attack as the best form of defense will be exposed. Because it's fascinating that those who have lots of material about themselves in the public domain, including stealing money from municipalities via banks and so on, are the loudest in terms of some of these allegations that are made against those who wish to expose corruption. But their time will come, and
you know, you've been one of the most outspoken leaders in government about the allegations of corruption, including where allegation has been proven, right? Going out and talking about joining the dots and so forth. But that has earned you the harshest criticism possible and personal attacks, which I sympathize with you, that they probably have affected your own life and your family life. I wonder how you feel about that. You can tell me about it. I mean, including from some of your colleagues, by the way. People saying that you've got the EFF said you've got accounts and must be investigated in Canada, and your daughter is involved in one scheme or another, which you are you've assisted in establishing. And then the former SARS Commissioner Tom Moyani says you made some allegations at the Zondo Commission and applied to cross-examine you. And some of your colleagues are saying you behave and conduct yourself as if you are the Prime Minister within the government of President Cyril Ramaphosa. So it's been, I mean, it's quite a lot to deal with, I can imagine.
Yeah, but I think principles matter. So if there are many tens of thousands of activists in the struggle who struggled against injustice, who made sure that whether injustice was in that era or now, you've got to fight what is wrong. Secondly, we put the public interest first, and there are again tens of thousands of activists across the country, if not more, who are spending many hours of their personal time trying to build a new South Africa, a South Africa that has hope, a South Africa that offers a future for our young people, and a South Africa that doesn't destroy that hope because a few people want to put money into their pockets. And thirdly, we do live in a world where all sorts of narratives and fake news and trolls and blogs and whatever is utilized in order to mask the reality. And as activists, our task is to unmask that reality, and that's where the connecting of the dots actually comes. So, yes, one is subjected to these attacks, so one must either decide to cow down to them, or as a matter of principle and in defense of one's integrity, one needs to take them on. And I'm very lucky that I have both the support of my family, but also the support of many people in the South African public. And it's not about me, the individual. It's about us as a progressive activist doing the right things to defend democracy in South Africa and make sure that we leave a sustainable future for future generations. So let the attacks come. And if the constitutional institutions are to do their jobs well, then it is those who point the fingers that must actually stand in the dock and actually explain, now, where is this Canadian account? And interestingly, by the way, if you do a rough conversion between Canadian dollars and that $60-odd million that I'm supposed to have in Canada, it's the same amount as the bribe offered to my colleague, Mr. Jonas. But where's the proof of that account? Where's the proof around tenders? Where's the proof around this investigative unit and the malfeasance that it might have actually engaged in? Where's the equipment that this unit was supposed to have bought. The two ministers went, had a press conference, said 500 million rands worth of equipment was actually purchased. No proof at all. So even this nonsense about where there's smoke there must be a fire is precisely that. It's nonsense. And I think South Africa needs to understand that these are all attempts by the guilty parties in order to besmirch those individuals and institutions, because they are important civil society institutions like Corruption Watch and others, the religious fraternity, for example, who have been part of the process of ensuring that we don't step down the wrong road.
Now, let me ask you, I mean, you are Minister of Public Enterprises. You've seen the damage that's been caused to most of the state-owned entities. So the question becomes, do we still need them, some of them, given the amount of debt that they have accumulated over a period of time and whatever developmental role they're supposed to be playing in the country, whether that is still worth it? Now, and the second part of my question, brief response from you, is given what you know now, having looked at the finances, the performance of the economy, the behavior, and all the issues at state-owned enterprises, what gives you optimism about the country's future, especially on the economic front?
As far as SOEs are concerned, I think we are in a transition period where we've got to repair them, stabilize them. The President has established an SOE Council, which the next administration will pick up on, and they will then respond and evaluate the questions that you're raising, which has been in the public domain and in the political domain for some time. Do we need all of them? Do we merge some of them? Do we actually have new ones in order to meet the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution? What gives us hope for the future? Clearly, if we are able to deal with this past on the one hand, but more importantly, understand that we need to create confidence in this country and its economy. Secondly, as the President has been trying, get investment into this economy, both from South African capital and foreign capital. Thirdly, create a lot more small businesses and entrepreneurs, and with the support of the state, but also the support of big business. Because big business has an important role to play in the next 5 to 10 years to ensure that they support the new economic actors and contribute towards an inclusive growth trajectory for South Africa itself. And fourthly, I think that the kind of vision that the President has of our future is not based on some parochial understanding of our own situation. It's a vision that is based on the National Development Plan, a vision which says we can all have a better future, but we'll have to create the right kind of compacts and understanding that can ensure that we deliver to the poorest, that we enlarge the middle class, but more importantly, that same middle class needs to express solidarity with the poor in order to improve their lives as well.
Minister Pravin Gordhan, thank you very much for